The following program is a production of Ho'ike Kauaʻi Community Media.
Aloha and welcome to Island Alert. I'm Max Richardson.
And I'm Allison Young.
And today we've got a powerful interview for you. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to Ho'ike on YouTube. Discover more incredible stories, stay inspired, and stay in the know about all things Kauaʻi. So Allison, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you in here. Tell us about yourself. Where are you from? How'd you get involved with KIUC?
So I'm from Maryland originally, the DC area, and my background is in public health. And I moved to Kauaʻi in 2020. Before that, I was working at the Frederick County Health Department as the public information officer. And when I was here, I was a member, and I was learning all about KIUC's commitment to renewable energy. And I really admired what they were doing, and I knew it was going to play a big part in mitigating climate change effects on human health. So when a job came up, I applied, and it was a similar position to what I was doing back at the health department. And I just wanted to do everything I could to help them reach their goals.
Awesome. So what did you do for the health department before?
So it was a county health department, just like the one here. We had a number of different programs in environmental health, behavioral health, youth programs, safety, contagious diseases. So I was working on promoting most of those programs. And then, of course, COVID hit in 2020, early 2020. So I was creating materials. And at the time, we didn't have vaccines yet, but we were just informing people about what COVID was, how to prevent it, asking people to wear masks and stay home. We were setting up testing sites, pop-up testing sites. We had a diverse community back then in Frederick County. So we were translating things into different languages, and it was a lot of information coming in like a fire hose. We were on calls with the state and the CDC at the time, and we were just trying to take it all in and get the information to the public as best we could as it came in.
Wow. All right. That's a lot. That sounds like a heck of sounds like a tough situation to be in, a tough job. And that sounds like a great type and volume of experience to be bringing to our little corner of the Pacific here. So can you tell us a little bit about KIUC itself? Like a lot of people, I think, don't necessarily know what is a co-op, and why did KIUC decide to model their business as a co-op as opposed to, most utilities are just like a traditional privately owned business?
Yeah, so that was one of the things that really attracted me to KIUC. I had worked in health nonprofits before, and the cooperative model is just really cool. I don't know if a lot of younger people know the story about how KIUC was formed, but back in 2002, it was actually Kauaʻi Electric, and it was an investor-owned utility at the time, and it was up for sale, and a group of business people had the foresight to see that this was an amazing opportunity. At the time, Kauaʻi had the highest electric prices in the nation. And they realized that if they could purchase the utility and turn it cooperative, that they would have autonomy and more control over their sources of power and therefore the rates of power, the electricity rates. And so they were able to come together and purchase it and turn cooperative. And for people who don't know, cooperatives are governed by 7 cooperative principles, and those include a concern for community and democratic member control. So every year we have elections, and then you'll see a lot of KIUC workers out in the community volunteering. We sponsor a lot of nonprofit organizations. We have a lot of affordability programs for our members, and we just give back in every way we can because we are member-owned.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I've definitely gotten KIUC ballots in the mail every year. And I see your guys' name and logo on banners. I go and cover a lot of nonprofit events, and I see your guys' name all over the place. And in fact, eagle-eyed viewers at home probably saw KIUC's logo on the opening titles for this show because one of the nonprofits that you guys underwrite is Ho'ike. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. We're happy to support local media.
Well, we're very happy to be supported. No, and we're happy to work with KIUC. You're actually, you guys are the first non-government organization that I've had on the show here. All of the previous episodes have been emergency services folks like police and fire. Even though you guys are not a part of the government, you're on duty around the clock too, just like they are. And you play a part in emergency response when we have, weather events, et cetera. So tell us a little bit about that.
Right. So KIUC is the sole electricity provider on Kauai, and people don't usually think of utility workers as being first responders, but our workers are on call 24/7, 365 days a year because no one wants to be without power, even in the middle of the night. So our crews and the people that work at the power plants and our call centers, they're on call all the time, basically. And so if the power goes out in poor weather, which is usually when it does go out, if it's windy, they might be at home with their families. They might be having dinner or at the beach or something, and they're on call, and they will pick up everything and come in to wherever the outage is to work on it. So in that way, they kind of are first responders because no one wants to be without power longer than they need to be. And then electricity is a utility, so it's considered critical infrastructure, and it's a part of, we're part of the emergency response with the county and the state and the federal agencies. And so we work closely with them on preparation and response and recovery. And we are part of the Emergency Operations Center, also known as the EOC. And that's managed by the Kauaʻi Emergency Management Agency, also known as KIMA. And so for people who don't know, KIMA has an operations center. It's a physical location, and anytime that there's an emergency or a threat, people will come together, different representatives, the mayor's office, all the first responders, hospitals, healthcare providers, nonprofit agencies like the Red Cross, utilities. And it's a way to share information together and plan and execute any kind of response. So if there were a hurricane or a wildfire or some other kind of threat, we'd all be working together. We also work very closely with the county and their public information team. And so there's a coordinated response. That way people aren't getting information from lots of different places. And we also communicate directly to our members through our website, through our social media, through text and phone calls and emails. So we encourage people to sign up for all of our alerts if they want to be notified.
Well, that's great. That's really wonderful. And it sounds like even though you guys are not obligated to behave this way, even though you guys are not a part of the government, it sounds like you guys are just sort of voluntarily assuming the same level of responsibility to your members or constituents that a government would, like being available all the time, being on call, like you said. So that's really cool. That's, you don't see a lot of non-government businesses that have that level of, that voluntarily take on that level of responsibility and obligation to the folks, So do you guys are the power plants okay, so I call 911. There's there's a call center at the police station with dispatchers that are there around the clock. Do you guys have like a manned call center like that? Is it a computerized service? What happens when I've never noticed when my power has gone out at 2 a.m, so I don't know what happens when you call.
Right. So we have member service representatives, and we have a call center that people can call in during business hours, and they'll get a member service rep. If it's after hours, the calls roll over to the power plant, and we have people staffing the power plants 24/7. So there will be someone there.
Cool. All right. What is it that I know there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different, I guess, resources that can be converted into electricity. What method is KIUC using to generate our power?
So KIUC's board of directors, which were democratically elected, they set the strategic goal to reach 100% renewable energy by 2033. And at this point in time, we are about 50% renewable. So 50% is coming from fossil fuels. on an annual basis. And the rest of the time, we have solar plus storage. We also have hydro and we have biomass. We are looking into biodiesel as well. And one thing that many people don't know is that during the daytime when the sun is out, we actually run at 100% renewable with our
I didn't know
synchronous
that.
condenser. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we're working really hard to get to 100%. We have a few other projects in the queue. Those will be solar plus storage as well, and those should bring us to 80% renewable by 2028.
That's super exciting. And that's right around the corner. I mean, that's 3 years from now, 80% renewable. That's amazing.
It's really exciting, yeah.
I'm surprised to hear you say we have hydro, because I thought you had to have like a big river or like a big waterfall. So how are we using water to generate electricity?
So some of these were part of the plantation irrigation ditches, and that they got converted into hydro generation. But we don't have any new hydro projects currently in the works.
Cool. Well, that's just an interesting little fact. I didn't know we had any hydro plants on island. Going back to KIUC as first responders, right? How quickly can KIUC respond to a widespread outage? Let's say it's not just a block, but like a whole town. And what can residents do to stay safe while they're waiting for their power to be restored?
So widespread outages are really challenging because we have limited line crews that can reach all parts of the island. So we have to be very strategic about where we can restore power and when. So we just tell people to prepare as much as possible, and they can have backup generation on hand. So that means a generator or batteries, battery-powered radio, and flashlight on hand in case there's an outage. Most of our outages are actually local and small, and the number one cause of those is vegetation overgrowth. So KIUC has vegetation management crews trimming trees all year round, all over the island, and property owners, I'm not sure everyone's aware of this, but they're actually responsible for managing the vegetation on their own land. And so please always be careful if you're trimming near lines, and we actually recommend licensed tree trimmers for people to manage their vegetation overgrowth. And this can prevent outages in your own home and your whole neighborhood.
And that's good advice. Tree trimming is one of those things that is harder than it looks.
One other thing I want to point out is you asked about safety, is that safety is our first priority in everything we do for both our workers, because it's electricity, and also for our members. So sometimes we get people that are very impatient for power to be restored, and we just ask that people understand that we are working as quickly and safely as possible. This involves, really bad weather and being up in bucket trucks, 50 feet in the air at night. So we always have to prioritize that.
Yeah, not a task that I envy. Not, but and also, yeah, that's another thing, is that almost always when we have power outages, rain is involved, and rain for those at home not without a meteorology background is made of water, which conducts electricity. So the danger of having exposed wires while it's raining is bigger. So that's good to hear that you guys are staying safe.
Yeah, and our crews have lots of different protective equipment that they wear, and they shut off lines if they're live so that they can work on them and everything. So we have a whole safety plan, actually,
which is great. Yeah, but it makes sense to me, at least. So that brings us nicely into our next question. Electricity can be pretty dangerous, especially in a wet or a humid environment like we have on Kauai nearly all the time. So do you have any tips? We talked about what KIUC does, but do you have any tips to help the average person use their electrical appliances more safely?
Yeah, so if they're in anticipation of an outage or just fluctuations in the source, people can use surge protectors to protect their appliances. They can also unplug them or turn them off when they're not in use. We have a number of safety recommendations on our website, and we post them on social media frequently. But some of the big ones are don't do any work near poles. So digging, there might be underground lines, overhead with tree trimming, like we mentioned before. And don't post anything on poles. That means your lost dog or cat. There's other places to post. Don't post on poles. And don't play on transformer boxes. Just things like safety things like that. And then if you do see a downed line, so if it was a windy storm, rainstorm, stay at least 30 feet away and actually call 911 if you see one.
Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah, a down line is a pretty serious emergency. So, what about inside my own home? Is it okay for me to make toast in the shower?
No. We actually, our workers, one of the things we do, and we volunteer in schools for career days and STEM days, and we have something we call the hazard hamlet, and it's a little home. We plug it in, and it actually sparks when we touch it with a tool, of course, not with our hands. But it shows the different hazards in a house. So one of them is not using any kind of electrical appliance when you're in the bathtub, and don't stick a fork in your toaster, just things like that.
What if the toast is stuck, though?
Unplug it, wait for it to cool, and then maybe shake it out. But let a grown-up do that, Max.
I'll call my dad and have him come over and get the toast out of the toaster for me. Okay, and are there any videos of this? You call it the Hazard Hamlet?
Yes.
Are there videos of that on the KIUC website? Is there something that I can point the folks at home to so they can see it?
I don't think we actually have a live video of anyone giving a presentation with the Hazard Hamlet. I think the model was built maybe in the 80s, and it's really heavy, and we bring it around to schools sometimes, and the kids have a lot of fun when they see the arc flash go. But maybe it's something that we can talk about more.
Yeah, I was going to say, if only you knew a group of videographers that could come to your offices and film that. Yeah, I think that sounds really cool. Mm-hmm. And informative. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of things that I think are common sense. Like, yeah, you shouldn't do that with that appliance. That people are like, oh, I didn't know that. You know. Yeah,
I think most kids know. Like when I go to the schools and I talk to kids about safety, and like, don't charge your phone and then bring your phone into the bathtub. Yeah. Or they know that people cover their outlets for little babies and toddlers, and not to stick your fingers or your tongues inside outlets, things like that. So,
well, that's good. I was talking about adults. I meant like, hey, grown-up 50-year-old man, you probably shouldn't use that indoor extension cord outdoors, especially because it looks like it's going to rain, stuff like that, you know. Mm-hmm. All right. How about another relatable question? How about keeping the power bill down? Do you have any tips for us to use our electricity more efficiently and preferably without impacting quality of life? Because I know there's a lot of those tips out there that are like, oh, you can use your electricity more efficiently by not turning your lights on ever or whatever, and it's like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, so we regularly have videos on our social media channel with these tips on how to save energy. There's other things people can do. They can use energy efficient appliances. We actually have a whole bunch of rebate programs for that. A lot of them in Kauaʻi, you can just turn off your AC and open the windows. We have the trade winds. You can go outside instead of, watching a screen. A lot of these are for homeowners, but they're also for business owners, and a lot of business owners don't know about these, but they can replace all the lighting, the refrigeration, and some other appliances in their business for very low cost, because KIUC wants to reduce the demand on the grid, and that actually helps everyone.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's good to know about.
So we know that living on Kauaʻi is very expensive, and we are sympathetic to our members, and we want to help them afford their energy bills. So we have a number of rebate programs, both for homeowners and for businesses, and they can go on our website, but they are for a whole bunch of different things like appliances, cooling, water heaters, EV chargers, refrigeration. And we encourage people to talk to us, and we'll let you know what you might be eligible for. We actually have a program where people, if they suddenly have a spike in their energy bill and they don't know why, they can call us and we'll send someone out to troubleshoot and do an energy audit on their home or business, and they can see what might be causing the problem.
That's really useful. That's awesome, because I'm sure that's happened to everyone at least once. I know it's happened to me at my house before, where I look at the power bill and I'm like, what the heck happened?
Did you figure it out?
Yes, but it would have been cool if someone else figured it out. So, is that something that a person would have to pay for, or is that just a service that you guys just provide complementarily?
It's a service we provide. We have a lot of members, and we don't have a huge staff that do these audits, but definitely give us a call, and we will, in time, have someone come look at it. That's
wonderful. I think you're right. I think a lot of people don't know that is, but that's a really great thing to know. So, that's why you watch this show, because you can learn stuff like that.
All of our members already benefit from utility scale solar and battery, which we have on island. Some members want to install PV systems and battery systems on their own homes or on their businesses. All we ask is that people call us first so that we can help them fit their system to be the right size for the building and meet their individual needs. And then everyone else, we just ask that you convert to energy efficient appliances when you can, because that decreases demand on the grid and that saves energy for everyone.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, you heard the lady. Look at that Energy Star sticker next time you're buying a fridge or a TV or whatever it is. So I know you guys mail out ballots annually. How else can people get more involved in the co-op or have maybe more of a say in how it's run?
Well, when we mail out those ballots, they can vote. We have nine directors on our board of directors, and we have an election for 3 seats every year. The election is run by an outside contractor called Merriman River Group to make sure that it's anonymous and fair. So in addition to that, they can stay updated by what we're doing by following us on social media. They can read our magazine Currents, which comes out quarterly, and they can attend our annual meeting, which is coming up in July.
Awesome. All right. And we'll have, I'll put the specific date for that meeting on the bottom of the screen, or if you're listening to this as a podcast, it'll be in the show notes. So you can take a look at that.
Our next annual meeting is July 30th. It's a Wednesday at the Philippine Cultural Center.
Okay. And can any KIUC member run for the board of directors? Could I be on the board of directors?
I think anyone who's a member can run for the board of directors.
All right. That is, I'm sure some people will be very interested to know that, because I think no matter where you live, the power company is one of those companies that people like to critique. So, hey, if you think you can do better.
I think the full list of eligibility rules is on our website. Okay. So,
all right. So 2 questions that I like to ask everyone at the end of an interview on this show. What do you think is the biggest challenge that is facing KIUC today?
So KIUC is an island grid, which means we are in charge of our own generation, transmission, and distribution. So we're doing a lot that other co-ops on the mainland aren't dealing with. And we have to balance reliability for our members, prevent outages when we can, resiliency in the face of climate change effects and cyber threats. And we do all this while we're trying to reach 100% renewable. And so as a cooperative, we're also trying to be fair to our members and give them the most affordable rates as we can. And so these are all really monumental tasks. But we are committed to reaching 100% renewable by 2033, which is 12 years before the state of Hawaii's mandate of be 100% by 2045.
Well, yeah, that sounds like a laundry list of significant challenges, but I would say it sounds like you guys are handling them admirably, and keep up the good work.
Yeah.
All right. So what's one thing that you want everyone on Kauai to know? If there's a question you really wanted me to ask you that I haven't asked you, now is your chance to answer it. What do you want to say?
So KIUC is the only cooperative in the state of Hawaii, and many people don't realize this, but because of our autonomy as a cooperative, we have local governments, and because we transitioned to renewables, like I mentioned at the beginning when it was formed, we actually have stabilized rates and went from being the most expensive, having the most expensive electricity in the country, to having, at the moment, the lowest rates in the state of Hawaii. And so we're very proud of that while being a global leader in renewable energy. And we just ask that all members be patient with us, because anytime there's an outage, we're working very hard to give you the best service safely. So just be patient. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Allison. That was a great, you know your stuff. It was a great interview.
I just think that people don't realize that KIUC is a global leader in renewable energy. We actually just hosted researchers from the National Renewable Energy Lab who came from different universities, PhDs, to learn about what we're doing to apply it to the mainland one day, because we're so far ahead.
Wow, that's incredible. I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's incredible.
Yeah, there's a lot for people to be proud of with our model, our cooperative.
Great. Well, keep up the good work. That's awesome. You guys are doing a good job.
Thank you.
Well, that's our show. Allison, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tune in next time, where we'll talk with another of Kauai's first responders. Until then, stay safe out there. Aloha.
Ho'ike Kauaʻi Community Media's president and CEO is Allegra Gaines. Administrative assistant, Leiko Someda. Production and education services by Roger Olson. Production and IT services by Max Richardson. News and events producer, Trisha Allen. County producer and social media manager, Olivia Franco.